think he called me Trash Santa because had these bags slung over my shoulders as we were cleaning out the house. Yeah.
I knew you and I were going to get along from the very first time we met. We both have a trash problem.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Erin. If this is your first time to our channel and you want to learn all there is to know about living in Richmond, Virginia, tap that like button, hit subscribe, and click that little bell so you're notified every time we release a new video.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Living in Richmond, Virginia local scoop. And we have a real treat today. We have Lauren with Circle G Design. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It is always a treat to do anything and everything with you because you just make everything look so wonderful. Really.
Thank you.
So I know that we'll be talking a little bit about where you live and getting your kind of your take on that particular area. But first off, tell us a little bit about what you do, what your company is about, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I have a background in architecture, interior design, and professional organizing. So my business, Circle G Designs, focus on interior design and professional organizing. Also help with occupied staging and vacant staging, just trying to make everything look its best and function well for everybody. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. What would you say of what you do? What would you say is your favorite part?
Ooh, good question. I actually really have been enjoying doing vacant staging and just coming in and showing off the potential of a blank slate, and helping people visualize what a home can really be, even if it's not, totally updated, looking brand new, spectacular. I just love helping people see the potential of what it could be as a home. So that's been really fun. Yeah.
Absolutely. What would you say from your experience? What has been maybe like a funny story, something funny that's happened that, you didn't quite know how it was all going to turn out, but.
Well, I think the professional organizing side of things gets really funny because when you're going into somebody's home and you're going through all of their personal things, you run into stuff and you learn a lot about people.
Right.
So I think a lot of my funny stories are from those. A few years ago, I was living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and working for another organizer, and we had the opportunity to go into a home. One of the owners had passed away, and the other one had been moved to kind of assisted living facility. But the owner that had passed away had a little bit of a shopping problem, and there was some dispute going on over who was inheriting the home and the things in the home. And so a brother showed up, and per the estate attorney, he wasn't allowed inside the home, but he wanted to see what we were throwing away. So he camped outside the house.
Oh no.
In a chair, and it had been, a hoarding situation. There were some, animals that had been there that had defecated throughout the house. So we had hazmat suits on. So we're walking in and out of the house with these big bags of trash, and this man's camped out sitting in front of the house. And yeah, one of the neighbors drove by and she was like, "Are you guys filming an episode of Hoarders?"
Oh God.
Like, no, we're just cleaning out. But the brother was just a really weird, funny guy, and he compared me to I think he called me Trash Santa because I had these bags slung over my shoulders as we were cleaning out the house. Yeah. Uh,
I knew you and I were going to get along from the
yeah.
very first time we met. We both have a trash problem.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, but you ended up being able to get everything just so.
Yeah, we got it cleared out. It was a absolutely stunning home,
Wow.
1940s.
Oh my gosh.
Had been professionally decorated back in the 40s, and I think it was going to be a wonderful home for the next family once we got it all cleared out.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, that was a fun process.
It was, but probably, well, obviously one that you remember because
For
it tends
sure.
to be those things you work the hardest for. Those are the ones that really stick in your mind, not the ones that are like glass. You're like,
Yeah.
"Mm, I don't know. Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Remember that one.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. Well, I know that you guys just recently did something that I think is super exciting. And I love how you give back to the community and how you just kind of pivot no matter what the circumstance, you know? And I know you gave back. Was it a Habitat for Humanity that you helped decorate for?
Yeah, so I got hooked up with a nonprofit out of California called Pen and Napkin. And
Okay.
what they do is they furnish homes for families in need. And they recently decided to expand nationally. So they put out a call on one of their board members is Emily Henderson. She's a designer, used to have a couple shows on HGTV.
Okay.
So I followed her blog and I saw that they were looking for volunteers across the country to sign up to lead projects in our local areas. So I signed up and I found out that 3 other designers in Richmond also signed up. And so we got together and tried to make a list of organizations that we knew were helping with housing in our area, and I had
Mhm.
some connections to Habitat from
Got it.
a
Okay.
previous job. So I got in touch with those folks, and they decided that they would love to work with us and helped us pick out a family that was in the process of buying their Habitat home, um, very first home period. And they didn't have a whole lot. They had been living in a rental situation that wasn't great. There was lead paint and mold, and their kids ended up with asthma
Oh,
and
goodness.
just really tough. And so they had been in one of Habitat for Humanity's pilot rental houses for a year,
Got
just
it.
kind of living with mattresses on the floor and the little furniture that they had. But we were able to all network within the community. The Melton team contributed a lot of fantastic items. Thank you so much. We just kind of gathered things together, whatever we could get our hands on. We raised a little bit of money online to kind of help fill in the gaps. But in 2 days, we were able to put the whole house together for these two wonderful people and their 4 kids. They've got two 14-year-olds. One has autism. They're a blended family. And then they had a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. And we got to do a big reveal, and the Richmond Times-Dispatch came and filmed their
Oh,
reaction. And it was so much fun. And we couldn't have done it without you, Erin, and your team. And thank you so much for your contributions. A lot of really fun, colorful items that you had contributed that they really enjoy. So thank you.
oh, thank you for having the foresight to like be watching for opportunities where you could help the community and leave everything better. And it was exciting to see pictures and seeing a couple of things that I was like, oh my God, that's perfect in that room.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. It takes the right eye like yours to put everything all together. Lauren, I know that you've been talking about, and obviously this was a family
Mhm.
that you helped out through that. And I know you were talking about before your very interesting story, and I'm sure that you're regularly working with people that need to organize. Um, would you say that do you have to, is it a certain age group of people that you work with, or is it just kind of like everyone? Kind of like debunk the mystery. I think everybody thinks like organizers are super, doing that is like super expensive and only the ultra rich can afford that. Kind of walk through like what would be the easiest thing for someone if they just need a little push, a little help.
Yeah, actually one of my goals, I love working with people that maybe have never used a professional organizer
Mhm.
or have never used a designer before. I want my services to be affordable to those folks because I think everybody really can benefit.
Yes.
There's so much that we can do. If you find that you are maybe disorganized and just having to purchase things over again, duplicates of
Yeah.
items because you
Yeah.
can't find what you have.
Yes.
Sometimes just partnering with a professional organizer for even a couple hours,
Mhm.
for me to come in and see what you have, talk to you about your specific lifestyle and your needs,
Mhm.
how your house could maybe function a little bit better for you to help you stay organized and to help your life go a little more smoothly.
Right.
I can come in for a couple hours. I can come in and empty out your whole house full of hoarding, whatever. I've done it all.
Right.
And there's absolutely no judgment. Um,
Mm.
there's different kinds of disorganization. Actually, we say there's situational disorganization,
Okay.
which is for it happens in every single person's life.
Right.
It's when things get really busy and you can't stay on top of your stuff just because you have too much going on.
Right.
I can come in those situations and help you again reevaluate your systems, try to figure out if there's little tweaks that we can make in your
Mhm.
home to make things function better. There's also what we call chronic disorganization, and that may be where you've been living in a disorganized state for a long period of time
Mhm.
due to a medical condition or a mental health issue. I also can come in those situations. I have training and certifications in that as well. If you have a family member that is accumulating more stuff than you think they should, and
Mhm.
it's impacting their daily life and their mobility,
Right.
um, those kinds of situations, I can come in and help with that as well. And it's hands-on, um, side by side work.
Right.
Sometimes we're working together the whole session, and you're telling me what's important and
Right.
what's not. And I can kind of take that information and be looking at your space and thinking about how to rework things. Other times, I might work with you at the beginning of a session for a couple hours, and then you might need to go do whatever work you have that day, but I can stay and tweak and containerize things, just to get your system up to
Mhm.
par. Up to
Right.
s Yeah.
Right. Kind of that's really interesting, you calling it the 2 different things.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think we
Situational versus chronic. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Definitely the situational thing. I see that it's like, why can't I stay on top of this? I know what to do, and it is the overwhelm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't wanna show you my floor right now.
I won't show you our fancy studio either, right?
Yeah, but as I just mentioned to you earlier before we started, my kids started kindergarten today, and it's been crazy, and yeah, my room is a mess.
Right.
It's
After you
it
get the
happens to the best of us.
Of course, even the professionals. In fact,
Yeah.
we probably are the ones that are, everyone else's places look beautiful and perfect in the way it is. Our own,
Yeah.
no way.
It's like the shoe cobbler's kids or whatever who have
Exactly.
no shoes.
That's right. That's right, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
That is really interesting. Tell us a little bit about, because I love this story. I love this story. Tell me how, you came up with the name for your company.
Yeah, so my, dad's side of the family is from Texas
Mhm.
originally, but my dad grew up as an Army brat and moved all over the world. Um, but when my grandparents retired, they settled in Northern Virginia and they built a house that was a ranch style house. And because they were from Texas, they decided to name it Circle G Ranch. And my grandmother, as a joke, had a cattle brand made for my grandfather. My pappy is what we called him. Um, and so that is the symbol, the logo for my business is the imprint of that cattle brand. But yeah, it's just a fun part of my heritage, and I I actually didn't ever get to meet my grandmother. She passed away from breast cancer before I was born. But it's just I love that that's part of my
Hmm.
brand, literally. Um, and I love doing that too. That's another favorite thing about professional organizing and design is I love hearing everybody's family stories and seeing those family items and figuring out ways to incorporate them into a home.
Yes.
Yeah, it just gives me so much joy. So,
That
yeah.
you can kind of bring, it's almost that full circle that I think a lot of people, when they're overwhelmed or disorganized, it's you literally feel like you're just like buffering.
Yeah.
It's just like this constant circle, and just having that professional or that caring person that comes with that great bedside manner like you do to
Mm.
kind of step and like kind of just break you out of that circle and then tie everything all together. So it's like the true circle of, modernizing things a little bit, making it a little bit
Yeah.
more aesthetically appealing,
Uh-huh.
but also tying in that full family circle. I love it.
Yeah. I love that. That's great. Thanks.
I love your style that way. It's
Yeah.
very, very nice. Very nice. All right. So, of course, you are a local business owner here in the Richmond area, but also what's so important is you live in the Richmond area as well. And so we'd love to get your take on where you live, which is, what part of Richmond do you live in?
I live in the Brandermill neighborhood in Midlothian. I
Mhm.
absolutely love it. It's very wooded. We've got amazing walking paths all through the neighborhood. We've got 3 pools that we get to use in the summertime and this big, beautiful reservoir right in
Mm.
the center. Um, the neighborhood does fantastic events for the holidays. We're going to see Santa. I already signed up for that, even though it's August. Right now, we're going to see Santa at one of the Brandermill events. We had an amazing 4th of July parade.
Oh,
The
it was a
Melton
good one.
team
It was so good.
participated in it, and the kids just loved it. And it's so great. We especially love. We got really lucky. Our cul-de-sac that we live on. We've got friends across the street that are the same age as my kids, friends next door that are
Mm.
the same age as my kids. And we have this little cul-de-sac crew, we call it, and they get to go out and play in the middle of the street and
Awesome.
just your ideal place to live,
The
frankly.
quintessential.
Yeah.
What made you and your husband choose the Midlothian area? Why'd you pick that area?
We kind of looked all over because when we first moved here about 4 years ago, my husband's job was up in Glen Allen, which is, kind of
Mhm.
northeast. We were specifically looking for a home with an in-law suite because we wanted my mom to come live with us when she retired, which just
Mhm.
happened last year. So we looked at what homes were available with in-law suites, which weren't a ton at the time, but we ended up falling in love with this particular house that we bought, and absolutely love the neighborhood. Um, so and one of my criteria as well was that I needed to be within 15 minutes of a Target. So I checked that off my list as
You
well.
definitely check that off. You've got multiple that are within.
I know. It's one of my favorite things about Richmond is
That's
if
right.
it's out of stock at my nearest Brandermill Target, I can just zip right up the road to the next one
That's right.
and keep on going because
Yeah.
they're all over. Yeah.
Just line it up, stack it up,
Yeah.
almost like showing property, like how do we need to stack this up? You just stack up the targets, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's very good. So, Lauren, if you could live anywhere in the Richmond area and it was still within 15 minutes of a Target, where would you live? Well, if you could live anywhere, if money was no object, where would you live and why?
Brandermill is pretty close to the top of the list. I think
Okay,
we did pretty well. I'm hoping
good.
this is our, forever home, at least till our kids graduate high school. But because I have an architecture background, I'm a lover of old homes, and I would love to
Mhm.
live in the fan and Monument Avenue,
Mhm.
the museum district, and one of those older houses. I just adore the character
Beautiful.
of those homes. So
They are beautiful.
maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
Maybe one day.
Yeah.
What particular style of those older homes do you have a particular one you gravitate towards?
Not necessarily. I think I'm just a lover of the characteristics of
Mhm.
those early 1900s homes with
Mhm.
high ceilings and the
Beautiful.
architectural molding. But I also love the mid-century and
Mhm.
that style as well. But I think I would probably go for an early 1900s home over a mid-century if I had the choice.
Me too.
Yeah.
My husband always says, he goes, Erin, you love old houses. He said, you love renovated old houses. I'm like, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to think that I would want to fix them up from the ground up, but I've learned in my renovations over the years that I really like to come in the kind of the last
There you
10%.
go and go.
Yeah. I'll pick the finishes, I'll pick the
There you
paint
go.
colors.
Right, right.
Yeah.
There's my renovation, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll make sure everything looks just so, but maybe
Mhm.
not. Let's replumb. Let's do all the electrical. Let's everything. The walls are rotted out. What do we do now? Oh, this is
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it for sure. So we also have had the unique. We've had the unique opportunity that we've worked together as well,
Mhm.
both on real estate side for family, and also with you taking care of many of my clients' homes as well. What is one particular memory that you have of working with my team that you could share?
Oh, wow. Um, well, as you know, you helped sell my in-laws' home out towards the peninsula. And that was a stressful process because it was my own family and I was
Right.
having to help get the house ready to sell. And it was a home that they had lived in for 40 years. So we had a lot of work to do.
Mhm.
Um, so I really appreciated having your expertise and guidance and being able to reach out to you with updates and questions and having you help back me up if I had opinions that maybe my mother-in-law or father-in-law didn't agree with. It was nice to have your professional opinion. Um, and they were very pleased because I was able to introduce you to them. They were very pleased with your service and attentiveness and just how wonderful you always are, through what was an extremely stressful time for them. But they're all settled now in their new space, and we're all very glad that that transaction went as smoothly as it could, and appreciate everything that you did to make that happen. So.
Well, that was definitely a wonderful symbiotic sort setup. I think the two of you, and it's so funny that you say, I was able to kind of defer to you, and that I would back you up for different things you're saying that weren't necessarily popular with
Mhm.
your in-laws. And the funniest thing, and I don't know if you know this or not, is definitely something that our team has done in the past few years is more of a, sure, I can walk in and tell my clients that, as a seller, they're like, what should we do? What should we do? And it's like, as your listing agent, I don't want you to do anything. Like, I literally don't want you to do anything or spend any money. But then we
Mhm.
look at, when it comes from the law of differentiation, that it's like, okay, what can we look at? What cost-effective things could be done to make your home go from meh to wow, but are the most cost-effective and reasonable. It isn't
Mhm.
like everyone, I think, expects a designer or an agent to come in like, you want me to remodel all the bathrooms, right? Or you want me to remodel the kitchen, or I've got to do this, 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 this. And it's like, no, let's just take it all in.
Mhm.
And where you say, hey, to me, that it's like I backed you up on things that weren't popular because you were the professional, and someone would maybe listen more. It's not family or what have you, or
Mhm.
like, oh,
Mhm.
you're going to board. On the same thing is with my clients, I've learned that it's so much more helpful and effective for them to be with you, someone with design background and also organizational sort background and skills, to walk through and show them or share with them what things need to be done to make sure their house looks show ready, picture ready, all of those things. And I defer to you because you back me up on certain things that I might talk about. And I can go, hey, let's ask with Lauren. Let's see what Lauren thinks on that. And it's so much better received when it's coming from you. So that's why it helps. It helps when you have the two professionals kind of get together and everybody's coming from that same objective of what can we do to help these people accomplish their goals, to realize a dream, and do it in a time period that isn't so overwhelming, because they're already overwhelmed, and to get them from that stressed, buffering spot in what they're doing and start to see action happen, and then be able to get excited about, by getting this done, this is what you get to go do. And usually it's a simplified life or that home that they have just been dreaming to be in forever and they can't believe they actually get to be there. So it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, me too.
I love it for sure. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for joining us today. I've learned so much from you, just things you've shared today. And I know that this is going to be really helpful for people. And if anyone needs to get in touch with Lauren for help with design or organizing, all of her contact information is right there. And I definitely highly recommend her and recommend that you guys get in touch with her. She is wonderful to work with. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Erin. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This was fun. Thanks again for joining us, everyone, for another local scoop. And remember, leave everything better.
Once again, if this is your first time to our channel and you want to learn everything there is to know about living in Richmond, Virginia, tap that like button, hit subscribe, and click that little bell so you're notified every time we release a new video.